Hey everyone, welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. Today we are going to be taking a look at the Magnificent Seven stocks. I also have an announcement to make near the end. And starting off with fear and greed, you can see right now we are back down into fear on the CNN index and on pie vesting. We've also been in this downtrend, leveling off around the neutral territory around 50. When we go over to the Magnificent Seven stocks, let's first start off with NVIDIA. Everyone loves talking about NVIDIA, and it has been one of the strongest, best performing stocks. Has a market cap of 3.19 trillion. Can you believe it? We've watched this thing rocket up over the last year and a half, do over a 10x. And just for comparison, some of the other top stocks in the world, we have Microsoft at 3.28 trillion and Apple at 3.29 trillion. So Apple once again taking that number one spot, kind of out of nowhere. Everyone been talking about NVIDIA, and Apple somewhat fell by the wayside not too long ago, but it's retaken back that number one spot. Anyways, looking at NVIDIA, I wanted to redraw the trend lines, or not the trend lines, the fib scale, because for a while, at least on the weekly, we had a fib drawn from this high to the 2022 low, and we surpassed all the extensions, at least that are on there. So I wanted to go over to the daily and just draw a fib from the prior high to low and see, were there any things matching up with some of these extensions? And we did have some price consolidation at the 1618 at around 110. And the next level to hit would be around 132. The other thing I wanted to see, I've hidden the EMAs, the moving averages, because this thing has just been going up an insane amount. Again, since that 2022 mark, let's make sure we can see all this. Since the low in 2022, which is about a year and a half ago, if you can believe it, it's gone up 1,100 plus percent, which is just crazy for one of the top stocks to do. But what I wanted to really take a look at was the RSI. This is the Relative Strength Index. And something important to note is, where is the general strength of the RSI? We've been overbought for a while. We haven't gone below the 50 for a while. And on any of these top Magnificent Six stocks, I'll say, when we are below 50, tends to be at or below 50, tends to be really good values to buy, as well as the EMAs. If we were to turn on the moving averages, when we're under 50, we start in a bear trend. But really, if you're able to get a very strong stock at or underneath the 200-week moving average, tends to be a great time to buy. Again, we're going to hide these just for the purpose of it. But I was curious, what is the RSI showing us? And the RSI here, it was dipped underneath just a tad. And when the price of a stock goes up and the RSI goes down, that's known as bearish divergence. Now, would I call this bearish divergence? No. I just say the strength is still very strong. And it's sideways. It really isn't this clear downward trend. But we are coming up on this other overbought peak. And if this is about as high as we peak, which there's no guarantee, this could go higher. If this is as high as we peak, then yes, we could have bearish divergence, wait for a little pullback. But if this continues to go up and the price is going up, the RSI is going up, then we may have not seen the peak for a little bit now. And NVIDIA can still have more room to run, believe it or not. Another thing to look at, another indicator that we have, is the bubble risk indicator. And as you can see, the bubble risk indicator, it's been higher twice before, around this 55 region. And right now we're only at 40. So there is, believe it or not, still room for NVIDIA to run. As crazy as that sounds, I know it seems unbelievable to me even, but it did have the stock split not too long ago, and it's just been doing pretty well. So the way I look at it is, just keep an eye on the overall market, the S&P. If the S&P and the market's looking strong, then really there's less reason to believe that one of the top stocks isn't going to be doing strong as well. So if the overall market keeps trending upward, like we are seeing on the S&P, and the volatility is still low, then I think NVIDIA can still be running for some time. The other thing I wanted to take a look at indicator-wise, I go to this every once in a while. I know there's a lot of indicators on here. Some of these I really do like, but I don't look at them every week when I check, and that's the Darvis box. And the Darvis box, it's more of a tool used by traders, but when it's underneath the red, tends to be a good value time to buy. Again, think of it like the moving averages in a way, if you will, whether it's up or down. But right now with the Darvis box, you can see it can be over it for some time, or it has before. But when it is over it, at least in a more typical situation, it tends to run back into it, or even return to the mean. So right now we're at the higher end of the Darvis box there. So it is showing that it is extended in a few different ways, but again, doesn't mean it has to come down anytime soon. All right, let's go over to Microsoft. And Microsoft, what I really like that it did recently, here we're on the daily, but what I've been looking for it to do is hit this 434.1618 Fibonacci extension. It did that with the candle body. The wick did get above. So we'll see if this candle body can close higher. Otherwise, if it's just the wick, I would be worried that we might be coming back down underneath it. So wait and see on that. When we take a look at the daily, you can see that's a pretty strong daily close above there. But we do have these two daily wicks in a row at around the same level, that 443. So should it not be able to get any higher, and maybe it comes back down, and maybe on the weekly, that's all we see is just the Heikin Ashi wick above it, and then we come back down for a little bit. So I am curious to see what will happen there for this video, because we're taking a look at the RSI, at least in the larger time frames. This one, you can see clear bearish divergence. So peak here in the RSI, here's the price, and then the strength index, it's a little bit lower, and you can clearly see that, and the price is higher. And then again, the price goes higher, the peak of the strength is lower yet again, but we haven't stopped peaking here yet. But if we continue to see this downtrend, then we should see some sideways or corrective movements in the future. These things can go on for a while, and you can see the base here still upward bullish. So we would have to see this start flipping and getting below that 50 level. Once on the weekly we get below the 50 level, as well as on the EMA with the 50-week moving average, you can see how close that is on the RSI, whether it's at that midway 50 point or the 50-week moving average. That it's kind of curious how they both go underneath that 50, whether up here or down here, almost at the same time. So Microsoft still needs to break above that level. Apple just went gangbusters recently, and I've talked about this before, how it's crazy to me that when we take a look at just in a matter of days, 1, 2, 3 days, let's measure this out. Again, this is a $3.29 trillion company. Within 3 days, this thing goes up 13.7%. That's just a crazy amount of money. So, 3.3 trillion, 10% of that is 330 billion. And so it's even more than that, 330 billion going up in the span of just a few days. Can you believe it? You could build a world-class stadium with that much money. Well, maybe not quite anymore with inflation, but I digress. Anyways, Apple just going gangbusters. You can see the RSI has peaked really high here. Let's see let's hide this. Let's see the RSI in the weekly. So we have yet to peak. We'll see when that happens, and I'm curious what the bubble risk indicator says when we put that on. I'm looking at this for the first time with you guys as well, so my reactions are authentic. So you can see here last time the bubble risk indicator was up here, there's still room to run. So, when it did over in this area of May of 23, how much higher did it go just to the next peak? So it could still run another 13%. And if it did, if Apple was able to run another 13%, look at that wick, by the way. That's crazy. Right now it's at 214. Let's go to the daily. So if it was to run another 13% from where it is, comparison to what it did before, 13% would lead us somewhere around that 243 level. I'm just curious to see. But if it does get up there, even the 2618 at $258, that'd be the next level. But first, it has to break through this 222 level. Apple did break past that all-time high area. 222 at the 1618 will be the next level to watch for some level of resistance. Next, let's take a look at Amazon. And Amazon, you can see the bull risk indicator going down. So we don't need that. We can turn that off. Let's turn on the EMAs. I'm curious about that. So it came down to the 20. Yes, we are in the daily. The 50 isn't too much lower at around 181. As you can see here, we've tagged the 100-day a couple times, and the 100-day sits around 176. But it keeps challenging this gray line, and that's our old all-time high that was made a while ago. So should Amazon be able to break through there, and I'm going to put on the RSI again as well. Should Amazon be able to break through there, the 1618 is at 255. Let's just double check, make sure our fib's off log. It is. So yeah, the 1618 is at 255. Maybe Amazon is getting ready to pull an Apple, where all of a sudden it just apes up, and does have a $1.91 trillion market cap. Overall, you can see with the price, okay, the price and the RSI went up, so that's just straight up bullish. We'll see where this guy keeps going. Right now, it looks like it's in this minor downtrend, but maybe it just comes down to the 50 like it did before, or maybe even a higher level, and then has one more big move up to that fib level that we talked about. Google, it's still continuing that nice uptrend. Got over that wick wall that we were talking about last time, I believe, or at least that's what I saw last time I looked at it. The 1618 is at 193. So Google, market cap's 2.17 trillion. As far as PE ratio goes, forget if it has PE ratio over here on the side. I'm not going to take a look too long for it. Sometimes you find out more info on some of these. Does it give the PE ratio? I know it does somewhere. That's why it's good to plan in advance before. Price earnings ratio. Here we go. PE ratio, by the way, it's a good way to judge some of these larger stocks. Some of their price to earnings ratios are way higher than this 27 number, which is still high. Typically, if there's a really good stock that you like, I want to say that the overall average through history is that when the market PE ratio is something like under 13 to 15, that's the average. I'll have to double check on that. So the PE ratio is higher, but then again, for these better stocks, you're paying more of a premium. That's why when we follow the moving averages like we do on this channel, and we follow fear, we're looking for those great discounted values, because most of the time people will be paying a premium for the top stocks. I'm just curious to see where Apple's P ratio. Yeah, Apple 33. Let's see, Nvidia. Man, Nvidia's at 73. That's crazy. Microsoft 38. Amazon 52. So Google 27. Let's take a look at Meta while we're at 29. So Google and Meta have some of the best P ratios out there as far as value. So I would be curious to see, are some of the largest hedge funds in the world, are they buying up stuff like Google and Meta just because their PE ratios are a little bit more juicy? And yeah, anyways, Google, I think we talked about the fib, but let me cover it again. The 1618 and 193. And then as far as the weekly RSI, it's overall just looking bullish. Came down to the 50. We were taking a look at the moving average when it tagged the 50-week moving average back here, at 131, and it's never looked back. So overall, it hasn't entered that bear trend territory, but it has gone up. Apple, man, it went under the 50, got to the 100. We're talking about how historically that's great value for Apple, and it never really stayed underneath there, open and close underneath there. So, Apple, a great time to buy over there under the 50. Google at the 50, great times to buy. Next, let's go to Meta. So Meta here, you can see overall the RSI, the peaks are going down. I would argue this is bearish divergence, is losing some level of strength. That fib that we have here, let's scroll down a little bit. The 1618 fib is at 567, and we saw the P ratio was in the higher 20s. Again, if it is one of the best stocks in the world that you're able to get a PE ratio, something 15 or under, that tends to be a really great value, especially if the VIX, the volatility index, is spiking. But for Meta, the 1618, that's what we're watching for. There is some bearish divergence, so we'll see if it gets there. Maybe Meta's going to have some little bit of a pullback before going back up. But as long as we keep creating higher lows, or just some sideways action before breaking up, that'd be pretty good. We'll take a look at Tesla quick, even though it's not really a magnificent stock anymore, in my opinion. Tesla got up above that. Well, actually, let's go to the weekly. The weekly, to me, tells a better story. Never mind. It's not above any of these challenges yet. Did it get above the 382 fib overall? Over here, guys, look at that RSI. Geez, that thing is low. I think, we could see this did get very oversold. It even hit the 100-week moving average. So let's take a look at some buying opportunities. We had a buy here on the weekly. Did we get a buy on the monthly? Not yet. We haven't gotten a turnaround macro buy signal on the monthly. But look at this. Tesla, yet again, hit that 100-week moving average not too long ago. So very deep value. But on the weekly, right around the 0.5, you can see it's got all the large moving averages as resistance now. So, and we have this long-legged doji. So those, I like seeing long-legged dojis when they're green, but these things can go up or down pretty good either way. But maybe this is getting ready for a move up to challenge around that 204 price range for Tesla. If all of a sudden the market overall, we're in fear right now because the Magnificent Six stocks don't make up the entire market, obviously. There's other factors going on, but if the market starts to turn hot again, or at least the stock market and some of these top stocks, and maybe Tesla can be carried with it and get back above those levels. Anything else I want to say on Tesla? No, not really. Anyways, guys, a little minor announcement. We'll go over to the Bitcoin chart because I know a lot of you are here for crypto. It's got a little weekly red guy right there. Announcement. I will be going on vacation pretty soon, so I'm not going to be putting out videos at least as often these next few weeks. I'll try to put out a video or two with my cell phone while I'm in another country, but no promises. And, that's okay. Look at all those sixes, by the way. That's a bad omen. So, just want to say, thank you for all those who have subscribed, who are following, who are liking and commenting. It's summertime. Sometimes I think we can overthink ourselves or outthink ourselves looking at stocks, crypto too much, trying to find patterns, where there really isn't any. And, if any of you are traders, I've seen this happen with friends of mine who are traders. They get bad breaks and stuff. And, when things aren't going your way, it's always good to take a break, or, it's good to take a break regardless. So I guess, my main message is, here at Market Psychology, in order to keep a good level head, a good unbiased view of the market, or at least as much as we try to be, you need to remove as much emotion as you can, good or bad, and just take a look at things objectively. And a good way to help do that is to take care of your mental health and go on vacations, enjoy life. I'm going on some great hikes, going to Japan actually, which is pretty cool. Never been. If you have recommendations of places to see or go in Japan, let me know. I got a pretty booked trip as far as what I'm doing, but pumped about that. Going to be seeing a lot of awesome stuff. So I'm excited about it. And again, here in Market Psychology, we have to take care of our minds first so we can see things as clear as possible. Because hindsight is always 20/20. So refilling my cup, going to do some fun, new things, going to challenge myself. And, that's an important thing to do. And I hope, after that break, I'll be able to come back and give you guys even better content. Sometimes I think we have to remove ourselves from the work we do in order to see things more clearly or get some new ideas. And I don't want to put out the same content to you guys all the time. I do want to be creative and show you different points of view, different things to help you learn to see the market differently from a different perspective to help you too. So yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for understanding. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you all are making really good money, and that everyone in your life is doing happy and healthy and all those good things. And get outside, do something new, learn something new, enjoy the great weather. You know, life is pretty short. Don't want to take it for granted. But anyways, thank you guys, all 600 and some subscribers. I appreciate y'all. And maybe I'll put out one more video here before I go. But yeah, take care.